this is going to be something that really allowed me to see what had truly taken place in that house, and something that I already knew at the end of the day had taken place. The night that he's talking about, that I got up to knock on his door and confront him about the fact that my cell phone had been moved from the couch to the coffee table, was pretty much the night that I discovered that Michael had been assaulting me while I was living with him. He had been drugging and assaulting me. I knew it the first night that I was there, but again, I wanted to, take my time and assess the scenario, the situation, because when you're targeted, you have so many different possibilities for things taking place. And you don't want to accuse anybody of doing something as heinous as raping and violating you sexually if it isn't real, if it's not true. And so after I was there the first night, I'd experienced it, and I knew. I've been suffering from being drugged and raped for about 12 years, and through my gang stalking. So I know what it looks like. I know how the people operate and how it works. So when I confronted him, I really wanted to see his body language. I wanted to see his eyes. I wanted to see what he was going to say. But after that first moment, I began protecting myself. I began watching and observing him and seeing for myself if this was outside Gangstalkers or if he himself was indeed a Gangstalker. And I received my answer. So what I'm going to play right now is myself and him having a conversation that I assume was just a regular conversation, no pretenses, nothing, major involved. And he proceeds to bring up a subject that I thought was really, really inappropriate and very strange and odd, being that I don't know Michael. He doesn't know me. We are not a couple. We don't have any dealings with each other. We just are, I assume when I came up, two TIs, and one was in a better position than the other and willing to help. My channels consist of me talking very openly about the fact that I've been raped. That's a part of my gang stalking. I've been very, very, even so much as explicit at times about, my experiences as being raped as a target. And I've talked to Michael about it as well. He gave me this impression that he didn't believe what I was saying, or there was no emotion about it, really. So I just assumed and chalked it up to him not believing it, which, is something that is regular for me. And, it is what it is. But we were having this conversation, and most of the conversation was about religion, spirituality, our beliefs. And that's another thing that's very, indicative of him being a gang stalker. My whole channel is about my spiritual beliefs. We've had many conversations before I even came up to visit him about my beliefs. And it was very clear to him and everybody who watched my channel that I don't ascribe to JC any longer. There was a point in time when I did, and this channel that I'm using is actually evidence of that. A year ago, I believed in, JC, the whole Messiah thing. And my spirituality has evolved since then. And I've been very open about that. I've been very open about my beliefs and talking about the truth about this world. So why he is acting as if this was something that he discovered about me, and it's something that I'm trying to force on people, again, it's just another part of his slander. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play this. And I just want, you guys to be objective and, whatever you hear, you hear. Whatever you assess, you assess. Really like painful, desperate cry. And it just broke my heart. I was just like, it was just me not being able to see what he was doing. So, what I'm talking about in this part that I'm gonna play. He's more intelligent. Is she started crying. A TI. Well, people have flashbacks. It was just me not being able to. I'm talking about a TI that used to be on YouTube. Her name was Daquita Carver. And she was a targeted individual. And I haven't heard from her or seen her since. And I really related to her and her story. She had some similarities to my gang stalking, and she was also suffering through being physically raped. And I was talking to him about this, and I've talked to him about this before. But there was something in the conversation that we had talked about that brought us to this point of me regurgitating this conversation about her, and I was really getting into making a point about my ability to hear God, and he just came out of nowhere with this. So I'll go ahead and play it. Just trying to give context. See what he was doing. You see what I'm saying? It was just me not. Well, people have flashbacks because they were drugged, wiped away. With everyone according to. And he will answer me in a very unique way. Literally, like where it's like I understand that he just spoke to me. But it's something that happens where I know I'm not being tricked, which is I think the reason why he does it this way is so that I know that one, it's not Satan, because of the very unique way that it happened. Because I'm sensitive to his spirit, it is almost like he is speaking to me audibly, because that's how sharp and loud the answer is and the response. Because I remember, like when I was, it was during the summer, I was watching Daniqua's videos, and I hadn't seen or heard from her in a while, and she had come out and made this last set of videos. I think it was 3, and she had lost a lot of weight, and she wasn't her calm, put together self. She was speaking really erratically, but I understood it because she was being downloaded with so much information that I don't think she understood a lot of what she was saying, but it was so true and dead on. And she was just like, just a million miles per hour. She's saying this stuff that's like gems, stuff that you can't get from anywhere but God and spirit. And but she was it's a very conflicting thing, because when these things happen, you're in the midst of a suffering that the body can't really handle, and that's what she was going through. And so she was just talking about experiencing what I was experiencing with being assaulted, and she was just like, I can't deal with this. This is nowhere to live, and it was very heartbreaking. And I just remember just getting angry. I was so angry and I was so hurt. And, she started crying this really like painful, desperate cry. And it just broke my heart. I was just like, and so then again, like I do with everything, I'm turning it to God, like. And I said to him, I said, do you see what Satan is doing? I'm sorry, Teddy, if I tell you this, and this is just my prerogative. I'm very good with, I would say that I'm pretty good with people, but I see signs of perhaps rape in you that maybe you might not be aware of. What? I think I see signs of rape in you. Like,
let's say, for instance, someone's not aware that they're being raped, right? I kind of see signs of it that maybe I think, you know how, let's say someone drugs you. There's a part of your mind that holds a memory of something, but when you wake up, you forget everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Do you know what roofies is?
Yeah.
Roofies is a drug. If you ever, there's certain rape victims. If you give them roofies, and a lot of people in Hollywood, they would give people these drugs. They would administer these people these drugs, right?
Yeah.
Like roofies. And some people they just woke up and they thought they passed out, or they were super drunk, or some of them knew something happened to them, but they didn't know what, right? 3 or 4 days later, they'll have memories and flashbacks of being raped. You never heard of a situation? You can look this stuff up on the internet.
I'm not understanding what the point is.
Okay. I will get to the point, but first I want to understand that, because if you don't understand that and you don't believe that that could be a potential situation, then I mean, you're not going to believe what I say. So have you ever heard of situations like that where people have flashbacks of their rape?
Well, people have flashbacks?
Flashbacks because they were drugged?
No, I don't remember ever having anyone.
If you look it up on the internet, you'll see a lot of women who talk about, and I've watched videos a long, long time ago. There's one woman who
I mean, were you listening to the story I was telling, or?
I was but it actually made me think of your rape, because remember she was raped too.
Yeah.
But it made me think of your rape a little bit. But I was just going to tell you, and the reason why I said that is because there's certain experiences. Let's say, for instance, I was drugged, right? And I didn't remember being raped, right? And I woke up and I was like, something happened to me. I feel like I could tell that something's wrong with my body, right? Let's say, for instance, I'm just hypothetical, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, something's wrong, but then let's say my mind has a way of, I start getting flashbacks of things that are happening, right?
When you say flashback, what do you mean?
There are certain people who have flashbacks that if they're drugged on roofies, they have flashbacks of being raped.
And what is a roofie to you?
Roofies is drugged. Like, for instance, Simpson, something, I forgot his name. He was a certain actor, and he was drugging women and raping them. And
O.J. Simpson?
I don't know if it was O.J. Simpson. He was an African-American actor. I think he was another one. He was on a TV show. But anyways, he was drugging women and raping them. And the one woman remembered a while after, they would have flashbacks of their rape.
When did this actor do it?
I don't know, maybe in 2011. But this is, if you look up women having flashbacks of their rape, they were drugged. The only way you have flashbacks is if you're...
Oh, you talking about Bill Cosby?
Yeah, Bill Cosby and stuff like that. I know some of them. Why? What do you think about that? It was made up.
Bill Cosby situation?
Yeah.
I don't really know. I didn't know a lot about it, but I'm just trying to understand like what the connection is to what I was
okay.
about.
So basically, it's kind of like there are experiences that you have. Like, let's say you're drugged and whatever. There's certain body language inside of you that it has distress that maybe you're not aware of. Like, for instance, when you're angry, you make this distressed, but it almost looks like a orgasm face, where kind of like you hate what you're going through, but it has a connection with your sex. And that's what they do. I read up on mind control. In MK Ultra, that's what they would do. They would create they would have to put someone through a sexual state and try and program them in that sexual state. And I kind of see it, that there's like a lot of, something maybe you're unaware of. But you have this expression of whenever you're really you don't like something, you're disgusted with something. And that the only way I could imagine that you synchronizing that type of expression with that situation is in a rape type scenario.
What does an orgasm have to do with rape?
Oh, never mind. It's too complicated. It's confusing.
No, because this
Okay,
is how, okay.
For instance,
But let me just say, this is how I understand rape. Like, typically, when someone's being raped, and let's just say they're awake, like a woman who's being raped and she's awake, like, an orgasm is going to be the furthest thing from her experience.
No, but let's say, for instance, would she still be able to ever get, like, what if she was being raped? Can she ever
enjoy it?
Not enjoy it, but can she ever get the sensation?
What do you mean?
Can she ever capture the sensation of it? Like, actually produce, semen, come.
A woman?
Yeah.
Women don't produce
They
semen.
don't come?
They don't produce semen.
Oh, I thought they did. I'm a virgin. I don't know.
No, women don't produce semen.
Oh, okay.
But that would be.
But they can't bill. I mean, they can't have.
So let me give it to you this way. So the experience.
So he's asking, can a woman come, which is the same as an orgasm, while she's being raped? And, then he associated it with semen, trying to play dumb. But again, this whole conversation really, really confirmed a lot to me, because he was trying to get a couple of things from me through this conversation. He was trying to see if I ever experienced flashbacks, so that he was trying to assess whether or not I have a flashback about what he had done to me. And then he wanted to know if I received some kind of pleasure from what he had done, or if you can receive pleasure from being raped. That kind of a question being asked somebody that is a rape victim, from someone who says that they are compassionate towards your being raped, is definitely somebody who is not compassionate towards your being raped. And the way I seen it was that he was reaching, he was probing, trying to gather intel for himself for more than one reason. And then he goes on to say that he's a virgin. And then I proceeded to listen as he proved that he was not in this very same conversation.
It has distress that maybe you're.
I'm just replaying this part so that I can make sure I didn't leave off anywhere.
This distressed, but it almost looked like an orgasm face, where kind of like you hate what you're going through, but it has a connection with your sex, and that's what they do. I read up on my people. In MK Ultra, that's what they would do. They would create sexual. They would have to
listen carefully. He said he read.
Sexual state and try to program them.
Well, listen to what he says
and I kind of
next.
see it. That there's like a lot of something maybe you're unaware of, but you have this expression of whenever you're like really like you don't like something, you're disgusted with something, and that the only way I could imagine that you synchronizing that type of expression with that situation is in a rape type of scenario.
What does an orgasm have to do with rape?
Oh, never mind. It's too complicated. It's confusing.
No, because this is how. Okay.
For instance,
but let me just say, this is how I understand rape. Like, typically, when someone's being raped, and let's just say they're awake, like a woman who's being raped and she's awake, like, an orgasm is going to be the furthest thing from her experience.
No, but let's say, for instance, would she still be able to ever get, like, would it, she was being raped, can she ever
enjoy it?
Not enjoy it, but can she ever get the sensation?
What do you mean?
Can she ever capture the sensation of it? Like, actually produce, semen, come.
A woman?
Yeah.
Women don't produce
I
semen.
don't know.
They don't produce semen.
Oh, I thought they did. I'm a virgin. I don't know about that.
No, women don't produce semen.
Oh, okay.
But that would be.
But they can't fill. I mean, they can't have.
So let me give it to you this way. So the experience for a woman when she's being raped, with her anatomy, and we're just going to talk about the vaginal experience because like we can actually connect when it comes to the anus. But vaginally, it's like a flower. Like it's literally like a flower. And when you're in a situation where you're being forced, and I'm speaking about like, you're being awake. If you're awake, you're being forced with some strange individual. Like even when a woman is with a man she loves, there's a process that needs to take place in order for her body to open and to receive his body. It's not going to just be like, bam, it's that. But when it is bam, it's that, there's a lot of damage, there's a lot of tearing, it's painful. So, and it can be irreversible. And it can cause you to have scarring so that you can no longer have children. It's not a joke.
I didn't know.
Yeah, it's not a joke.
I don't know all that, but
and so
that's good knowledge.
Yeah, and so like, when these cowards do this thing to a woman that's asleep, that's sleeping. So for me, like, no, I'm not going to experience an orgasm from this person. All I remember is the pain when I wake up.
Well, okay, then you first off you're drugged, so you wouldn't be asleep, because if you're drugged, you wouldn't be asleep.
Well, it's the same.
You'd be in a sleep conscious. You'd be in like a really drugged state like this because.
No, not with a tranquilizer. Tranquilizers don't put you in trances.
Because you must have seen their facial expression and synchronized that with your hatred. Because I interpret that.
Michael, my hatred comes from the fact that.
No. Because when it's like this. And I'm not like in a bad way. I mean, and I don't want you to feel that way, but you make like a sexual face whenever you're really disgusted.
How do you know what?
Because whenever you talk about like something you're like you really don't like, or even if you hate something, like I can tell like you hate something.
Oh yeah.
You make this sexual face, but it's almost like it was given. You were synchronized.
Well, how do you know what the sexual face looks like?
Because you only make it when you talk about something you hate.
But how do you know what my sexual face looks like?
Well, I don't know. It looks like a sexual face.
That's what I'm asking. Like, what are you comparing it to?
I would just think that that's a sexual face. I would just assume that's a sexual face.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're very confident. So how can you be so confident that it's a sexual face?
Okay, so let's say I hate something. Like, I hate something.
Like the face you just made, I would not equivalent that to a sexual face. Like the face that you just made, where you were like.
But you're like, kind of like, I don't know. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah.
But what are you comparing it to? Like,
I don't know.
You seen some? So
I mean, I've seen people make.
So you tell me, you guys be the judge. Is that the kind of conversation that is innocent, of a virgin, of a God-fearing person that would tell you that, your faces are the equivalent of your sex face? Like, what are you even talking about? What in the world are you talking about? So it was that very, very moment when I started to probe him about how does he know my sexual face, and why are you even having those thoughts? You being such a virgin and you being so godlike and all of that. And I'm 50 years old, and why are you thinking in my face and sex, of sex and sexual faces, sexual pleasure faces? While I'm making a face of disgust. Because let me ask the normal people out there, are those the thoughts that you have when you see someone that you are dealing with getting angry? That must be what their orgasm face looks like. All I'm going to say is that the truth will be brought to the light, because that's just the way things go.